What is going on, guys? Welcome yourselves back to the Filter Podcast. It is our second episode, or first, depending how we do things, or third, depending on how we do things, like if we do the review and whatnot. But anyways, today it is me and Joseph yet again, and we're freaking met with Grayson Nash. First guest, you could say, on the podcast. We're going to have to do friends for a while until we actually get actual guests. But what the frick? Friends are actual guests. The frick, friends are dummy. Gray here is going to talk about his life, whatever. I mean, we're all going to talk about life, but so yeah, like if we get friends on, like low key, like it could be like, okay, let's talk about this thing we're going through, or like let's talk about we have a friend named Dez who does music just like us, but he's like a little older and he's a little more, okay, we have him on, we talk about this. So it'd be really cool having different people talk about different things. We got an itinerary of topics to talk about today. But first off, just start with something really simple and not too long, but as long as you want. Let's just each of us, in a summary fashion, tell each other how our weeks went. So I'll start. And then Joseph and then Greg can go. So, frick, my week has been up and down. I've gotten back into the music again, which is dummy. Taking about probably 3-week-ish break from actually recording. The album dropped the 25th, right? The 20th. Hey, today's the 25th. Oh, what the frick is it? Yeah, it's a month, bro. It says it dropped. Oh, come on, bro. So it's a month since the album's dropped, so that's that. Which is funny because the first podcast is still not out, which means that it's like over a month old. Anyhow, so we've been slacking, but week's been pretty good. Started off. I'm trying to recall it, but last night was pretty good. Had band practice at church. Monday was fun. It's been, I didn't even tell Joseph this, but I found a lot more peace in my life recently, which is nice. So it's been a good week. I've been kind of lazy this week, I'm not gonna lie, up until today, where I killed it. But like I did a lot of stuff. But like, for instance, I was putting off getting a haircut for 3 days, and I finally did. So I've been kind of lazy this week, but it's been a pretty good week nonetheless. Joseph, what about you?
Yeah, it's actually been kind of intense, honestly. Been kind of rough. This is my first full 40-hour week back after being gone for so long, and unfortunately, my job are very, very short-staffed, and I'm doing the work of 3 people because I know stuff and experience and that kind of thing. So it's been very, very draining. And I've been trying to balance that out with going to bed super, super early. Like if I get up at 5 in the morning, I go to bed at 7. Trying to balance it out. Sometimes sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Type of thing. But no, it's been good. I've been on that music grind. Working on the album, going along very well. I'm very proud of the progress that I've made so far on it. I thought I would still be kind of this in the limbo phase of kind of yeah, maybe I'll get to music, or yeah, I'll get to a beat when I want to, but no, hitting the ground running, hitting hard. I've got maybe the track list set, maybe. I don't know. That's a huge maybe. But
how many tracks?
13.
Okay.
Maybe 14. Yep. So, very excited about that. I love every single song. I did something tonight that was absolutely insane. So cool to do something, especially, that's the reason why you love music, is those moments of, holy crap, this is insane, and no one's ever heard this before, and when they do, it's going to be top. But yeah, no, the life has been pretty good. It's been probably a week since the trip.
No, two.
2 weeks since the trip. So yeah, but yeah, Gray. How about you, man? How's life?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, Sean, your haircut is very fresh.
Thank you. Would you date me now?
Really, heck no.
No, there's no point then, bro.
I'm just complimenting your haircut, man. I'm just complimenting your haircut.
Oh yeah, that's facts. That's on me.
Because I do the same thing. I put off going to get haircuts because I'm like, I kind of like my hair long, or I like it short. and I'll just put it off, and then once it's short, I'm like, I kind of wish it was long again. So.
Nah, bro, I look better with a short haircut, homie, bro.
Yeah. The shaggy look just doesn't really suit you, Sean.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But I
what
will
my
say, yeah,
girlfriend told me. Yeah, go on.
nothing's going too crazy right now. I'm just living in an apartment with my dad right now, looking for well, he should be leaving here pretty soon because he's still doing the whole military thing. So he's going to go deploy. And then once he deploys, I'm going to go live with my grandparents for a bit and then get a job. And I should be, well, because my mom is living with my grandparents and all my sisters are there. Unless we get a house. So if we get a house, we should be able to, I should be able to kind of, take that year and focus more on, looking at schools I can pursue, looking at just different things that I could move, different directions I could try and take my life in. So it's pretty chill right now at the moment. We're just going to the gym a lot, me and Dad. That's pretty much all we've been doing for like the past 3 weeks now. Is just going to the gym, trying to get healthy, get in shape. So that's really fun. It's great just to try and get healthy, to get in good shape, and I really enjoy it. So once he leaves and once he deploys again, I'll just be, getting a job, saving up money, trying to get my car, a first car. So yeah, nothing too crazy right now, but
All right.
right now it's just the calm before the storm, I guess.
So to go off that, it's funny you said that. So Gray, as long as I've known him, in fact his whole entire life, has lived a military life in a sense. It's funny. I said to my dad that earlier. It's like, Gray's been in the military. I'm like, bro, no, what are you on about? He's been a military kid. So I want to ask you a couple questions about that. Just get it from your perspective because I cannot relate with that perspective one bit. Because I've not lived that at all, and I've lived in one state my whole entire life. And we'll see what Joseph takes from this because he's lived in one state his entire life up until recently. Right? That's right? Or have you lived in other states? Yeah. So, if you can describe it, how would you describe what your life has been? So, a visual of what military life has been for your life so far. Great. How could you visualize that for us?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say it's like the worst thing in the world because I mean there are a lot of other lifestyles you could live, things that are a lot worse. And I don't want to say it's been just the worst thing ever because it's really not. I feel like you get a lot of interesting experiences. You meet so many people, and like when I was younger, I always thought to myself I couldn't imagine what my life would be like without moving constantly because I the longest I've stayed in a place I think is 3 years, or since I can remember, I've never stayed in a place any longer than about 3 years. So you just have to kind of get into that mindset where, okay, I'm going to be moving here very shortly. You have to adapt very well, and as you get older, it's harder to just go with the flow because you want to go off and go on your own path, but you're still kind of tied down to what your parents are doing, and you're kind of in this weird spot where you want to obviously go and pursue other things, but then you're in that spot where you're still kind of a kid, but still sort of grown up, and it just can cause a lot of confusion in terms of just how you're going to get your life like really started. I will say though, there are some really great things about being a kid, or just having constantly moving, and that is you meet a lot of incredible people. I've met so many awesome people. I've made a lot of friends, and the interesting thing about it is I remember I lived in Alaska for 2 years, and that was one of the best times of my entire life. Like, I talk about it a lot, but it was really great. And I was just being a kid, and there were so many cool experiences I had, and I had a lot of friends. I made some of the best friends I've ever had in Alaska, and then they obviously moved. We had to move away, and I still talk to them and everything. But about 10 years went by where I didn't really see them. And then I moved to Arizona, and they were actually retired in Arizona, and I got to see them again. So it was really cool how kind of all this stuff comes back, and just something unpredictable can sometimes turn out to be a good thing.
Would you, yeah, would you say that when you look back at it, do you see God moving throughout your life? Or do you see it as just like a string of like circumstances that ended up happening? How do you see God in your life?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when you're a kid, because I've been, my entire life, I've been, doing this. When you're a kid, you're just kind of thinking about being a kid. But now, as I'm going on 20 now, so being going into adulthood, being an adult now, I depend on God a lot more, and I in my everyday life than I did when I was just a little kid, not thinking about it. Like I've always loved the Lord, always, but now um, I'm really realizing how important it is to have a strong relationship, because if you don't have a strong relationship, you're not going to have a good foundation. If when you're going through a life that's so unpredictable, having faith in your life is so important when you grow up, because you have to have something to stand on. So that's kind of how I feel. Yeah, so yeah, definitely it has had a huge role, but it's having an even bigger role now that I'm becoming an adult, and I'm doing things, and I'm starting to try and go off on my own and do things. So yeah, definitely.
Do you see like, so since so many things have changed and so many things haven't remained constant, do you see like God in your relationship with God is the only thing that has remained constant?
Well, I feel like right now there are a lot of things I can do to improve my relationship with God. Obviously, I could always read the Bible more, um, which is something I need to improve within my faith. I need to, spend a
Yeah,
lot
we
more
all do.
time with Him, yeah, than I feel like I do. Um, but I will say, praying is huge for me. Just taking a few minutes every single day. Honestly, we should all take a lot more than just a few minutes. But just talking with Him, spending some time, just ex- opening up your heart and your thoughts, I think really helps. Um, with your relationship with God, because you know that no matter what you're going through, He knows what you're going through. You might think, oh, no one's paying attention to me, no one's listening to me, but He is. And whether or not He'll respond in the way that you want is not really up to you. That's up to Him. But just know that He is always listening. God is always listening.
So, okay, and then going off of that, when is a time that you felt? Give us a couple times if you could think of them, of times that you felt the presence of God.
Well, it's
And then
interesting. I
after he
feel like
answers it, Joseph, give your answer.
yeah. Well, I had a really when I lived in Arizona with you guys, I had a great church that I was going to, and it was great, and I could just feel that. Um, I just I felt really at home there, and so many people that love the Lord, that the same way that I did, and I could really I guess if you're saying where you felt the presence of God, I don't know if I really felt it, but I did definitely know that I was in the presence of people that had the same faith, the same walk that I had. Obviously everyone has different struggles, but I did really feel at home there, and I felt very before I had to go and move away from that. I did feel like this is great, and I did feel, I guess, the presence of God in a way where I felt it in terms of the community. So that was really good. Just being surrounded by people that I had a connection with spiritually. So that was really nice.
Yeah, because a lot of times it's hard to sort of feel that when you're kind of just like is it harder now that you don't have a church that you go to as much?
Well, I feel like you know you don't have to go to church to have a strong walk with God. Obviously, going to a church is great, in my opinion. I think that it's great. You have to have the community. You have to have, it's good to be in the presence of other people that love the Lord like you do. But I don't think it's required to have a strong relationship with God, because everyone's walk is different. Everyone has different trials and struggles that they go through in life. And I feel like if you just depend on going to church, if you say, "Oh, my faith is I'm just going to church," I feel like that's kind of a little hollow in terms of st- studying, and I feel like you can be someone who has strong faith, and that can come from your willingness to pursue God yourself. So, like what I'm saying
Mm.
is, reading your Bible yourself and doing it yourself, rather than saying, "Oh, I just go to church, so I'm good." You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times these days people look at the church to serve their needs rather than you know, you've heard the whole thing, pastors say, like, don't just, you know, feel God or trust God or know God when you go to church on Sunday. But I feel like a lot of people these days, they look to the church to serve their needs. And if the church isn't serving their needs, they therefore say, oh, God isn't serving my needs. Or this is on God. You know what do you think about that, both of you?
What's the vibe with that?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Go for it, Gray.
Just whoever.
Well, just to give I mean, in my personal opinion, like I was saying, I don't feel like you have to go to church to be. I don't want to say a good Christian, like, because I mean, there's lots of ways to follow the Lord, but like in my opinion, it helps, but I just don't think it is 100% necessary. Like by all means, if you have a church that you really love going to and you love being in like with those people, that's great. 100% do it if it helps you personally. If you think it makes you a stronger person, a stronger Christian, if it helps you mentally, if it helps your spiritual health, do it. I'm just saying I don't think it's 100% required to have a walk with God. It's going to church. Just my opinion though. Might be a little bit of a hot take.
What do you think? Because I know Joseph, at least, like, you felt it easier to, one, connect with God, and two, just be in Bible study and read your Bible when you had the community when you were at the church in Tucson, right?
Yeah. I can tell you that for such a big part of my life, I went through the motions of church, of just Sunday, I gotta get up, I gotta drum, I gotta teach, I gotta do whatever, etc. For years and years and years, because that's all I knew. That's what I grew up on. And so when we had to switch churches, I was like, okay, great, wonderful. First off, and my parents were like, you need to meet some people, meet some, and I'm just like, whatever. And that's when I kind of went into this like, didn't care about church, but then like could care less. I wasn't drumming, I wasn't serving, I wasn't really doing anything, So it kind of was like whatever. It wasn't until I was finally serving again, and finally meeting people in that church, and finally going to youth on Monday, Sunday, Wednesday, and like all that. Then I finally, with constantly like doing that like 3 times a week, sometimes 4, and being with them, and being around people who are actually like good Christians that actually believed, that actually have an actual walk, which I didn't have really a relationship with God at the time. Really getting into that, it finally kind of like rekindled, but also something kind of snapped. Well, I remember it clear as day that I realized one Sunday, it was like everybody was there. I did drums. It was a great time. Everybody was in great spirits. That I finally realized that I was listening to the sermon with intent. I was listening to the sermon with like a purpose. I finally was like, oh, I'm actually taking notes. I'm actually intrigued about like what he's saying. It's not just like words that go in my brain and come out the next, or I'm trying to, be on my phone or something. Like I'm like, oh, I'm actually intrigued. And I feel like, yeah, that's something that, you need to, I feel like some people just like they don't have. They're just like, oh, it's just a message, whatever. It's just whatever.
It's just something you have to do, not something
Exactly.
you really
Yeah.
want to do.
But I kind of agree with Gray says about you don't always have to be at church to be like a good Christian or whatever. Like my mom deals with sleep problems all the time, and unfortunately, can't make it to church half the time. And she still has a great walk with God. She still has an amazing walk with God. Yeah, the community's there. Yeah, it's important to go and stuff. But like yeah, you don't have to go every single week. If you want to, stay home, sleep in, watch it online in your freaking living room in your PJs. Like, yeah, God's not gonna be like, oh, you freaking sinner. Oh, you're not in church. You are. It's, yeah, no. So yeah, I agree with what Grace said.
Well, I think a couple things. I think one, it's like, I think it depends your walk of life, depending on if going to the church is really beneficial. Like at my age, going to the church is beneficial. Okay, like 150%. in your 20s, going to church is beneficial. When you have kids, going to church is beneficial. But maybe when you're a little older, it's one of those things where it's like, not that you know everything, but it's like your church could almost be your kids and your grandkids, in a sense, if that makes sense. So I think it depends on that, one. And two, I agree with what you guys are saying, but I think going to church does show one thing, and sometimes this might not be true, but sometimes that might, is the sincerity of the person believing. So you could look at it as, no, it's not the sincerity of the person believing because they'll just go to church for fun. But then the other side of it is they'll go to church because they want to grow more, rather than, oh, let me just stay in my own echo chamber of what I believe about God or what I know about God. You go to a church to hear the different opinions, to hear people who whose life practice is to teach this to you and give it to you in a way that, in quotes, is better than the way that you understand it, because not because God has chosen them, but God has called them to do that sort of thing, because I believe a lot of the times God calls certain people and pastors to pastor because their voices can be influential to people. And then also, I think going to the church also can just depend on if you're introverted or extroverted, right? So if you're extroverted and you need that sort of community and that reinforcement, just like hanging out with friends versus not hanging out with friends, there's that. Versus if you're introverted and you like going around other people and hearing about God, but it's one of those things where it's like you kind of also just like sort of chilling on your own in your own space. I think, you know what I mean? I think that's one thing. But speaking of churches and all of that, and Joseph, like you were, feel free to jump in and all of that, whether it's questions for him or comments, whatever, because it's not really.
It's not.
I have something actually about what you said. Gray, in your opinion, do you think that somebody can be not necessarily wrongfully called to be a pastor, or if someone is in a pastor role that shouldn't be?
Well, I think that there are some churches and pastors out there that like sugarcoat things, and they don't preach directly from what God says because they want to sugarcoat something and make something or misrepresent some the way God has said something that He makes it
Right.
very clear of in the Bible. And yeah, so I totally do think that there are pastors that really and churches and environments that sugarcoat things or misrepresent what God has said. I don't really think of I can't think of any specific examples of pastors just totally not being qualified. Um, but I will say, the pastor that we had at the church that I went to, he never sugarcoated anything. If you went up to him and asked him about a certain question, he would go directly to the Bible and refer to what the Bible said. So you know
Yeah.
that if you, were probably screwing up in your life and you wanted to go talk to him about that, yeah, he was going to give you an absolute direct answer and tell you exactly what you were doing wrong. Um, and but the thing is, he wouldn't a lot of the time he wouldn't ever tell you what you want to hear. He would tell you what you need to hear, like a good parent,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
your parents are really honestly good parents, they're going to tell you what you don't want to hear. My mom, she never tells me what I really ever like when I'm trying to go cry for sympathy. She says, "Stop doing that. That's stupid. Uh, why are you doing that?" And then she'll tell me why I'm being stupid at 19 years old and say, "Cut it out. Stop it. Stop playing for sympathy." And then she'll tell me what I don't want to hear. But in reality, that makes me better, and it gives me it gives me the perspective that I need. Not all the time that I want, but what I need. So yeah, I feel like there are pastors that definitely misinterpret things, definitely sugarcoat things, de- um, you know, try to cater to some of the people that are kind of insane nowadays. So yeah, definitely.
So they give you what you want, not what you need. And that's an interesting thing, and like even as like you kind of you maybe not chills, but like just inspired there, because it's always cool when I because I'm a new believer in the sense of the amount of I don't know. Do you know what I mean, Joseph? Like I'm not about God, believe in God for a while, but a new believer in a sense of like really trying to practice things. And when I hear something where it's like, oh, it makes me happy. What you said there was your parents should be similar to how we talk about God, and I think that made me kind of be like, your parents are almost like the smallest, God is the biggest reflection of what your parents should be. Which I kind of got. It's kind of interesting. That was good. You might not have meant it that way, but that's sort of how I got it. Is like, they should teach you, or hear what you want to hear, not what you need to hear, and if God told you what you want to hear,
you would just stay in sin and be a bad person.
When they're telling you something you don't want to hear, as much as you don't want to hear it at the time, you have to remember in the back of your head that, okay, this is good advice. Because if you just fight with your parents all the time and have animosity towards your parents all the time, and I understand that there really are truly some bad parents out there, a lot of bad parents, and I'm not going to say that all parents are good. There's the saying out there that every child deserves a parent, but not
every parent deserves a child. Yeah.
And I think that's a very true saying, and I think that if you were going into parenthood, you should definitely always want to have the best interest for your child. So yeah, there are definitely parents out there that should not be parents, and they can raise very confused and angry children, and I think that's just it's sad because it's just upsetting. And I'm not saying that it's easy to be a parent. It's not.
Yeah.
I've given my parents so much crap over the years. Like, how do they put up with me?
Same.
But
yeah, not me.
Definitely not Sean. Sean has been.
Yeah, he was the perfect child.
Yeah.
Straight up.
100% Sean.
No,
honestly.
But one, Joseph, don't freaking eat your macaroni into your mic. And then two, Gray. So this is funny. So parents. So have you had trouble with all the moving and everything? Talk about forgiveness, and then talk about specifically forgiveness when it comes to your parents for, let's be honest, doing what you don't want to do, or at least part of you doesn't want to do, which is moving off. Like you said, part of you is like, a healthy perspective. Look what I've gotten to do, and it's cool in that sense, going from state to state, learning different people, becoming a more well-rounded person because you're surrounded by not just the same people your whole life. But the reality is, you get uprooted from a place that you start to love. So how do you deal with talking about forgiveness and resentment towards your parents with that? And how you deal with it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never really had resentment towards my parents at all. Like, I know that everything that they're doing is for the good of the family. But I think it is pretty easy to say, like, dude, why are we still doing this? Like, this is so stupid. I hate this. And then I will say, I can get pretty upset sometimes. Like, Dad, why are you still moving me around? Why do I still have to do this? I want to go off on my own. And I would have been off on my own if I didn't still have to move. And it can be hard from that perspective, and it has, and that's a conversation that's come up a lot in our family. Why are we still doing this crap? We should have retired like 3 years ago. But I feel like in the long run, it will be good for our family because we'll have stability, and we'll have a good amount of things that we can do when it's all said and done. And really, the reason we're, from what I've been told, why we're still doing all this is just for stability. So we don't have to worry about stuff later, and he can just have a good life after all this is done. Just finish strong. So that's kind of what I've, and yeah, and as far as the whole resentment thing goes, I don't really have too much resentment towards my parents because I don't want to live my life angry. Because if you live your life angry, you're just gonna waste your life.
Wow.
But yeah, so there is sometimes I'm like, why am I still doing this crap? But other times, if I just live angry, then I'm gonna live an unhappy life. So yeah.
Dude, man, that is such a mature answer and such a great answer to say, because I'll give you a quick rundown of what's kind of happened the last 4 months with me. I moved from the place that I was born, raised my whole freaking life in, 2,000 miles away, and and that really did a number on me. Like I came here to North Carolina in the mindset of frick my family, frick anybody trying to get to know me, frick my life like bad. Sean knows this, and only a couple other people know this. Um, and I had such a deep hatred and frustration with my parents because of why did I move? Why did I have to
Yeah,
come here?
totally
Why,
understandable.
why? And and it wasn't until recently, also back to what you were saying, of Sean and two other close friends of mine telling me something I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear in order to become a better person. And after hearing what they said, I changed. I forgave my parents. I let go of that resentment and, kind of became a new person and actually gave this place an actual legitimate shot. But
Nice. Yeah.
yeah, it's great. But like the fact that, I would in my mind, I would be so upset
Yo, me too, bro. I
with
would hate that,
just
bro.
constantly moving, constantly going
Oh no,
bam,
yeah,
bam,
it's getting
different
old. It really
places.
is. But I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, but you saying, don't be angry at them. It's not worth it. They're your family. That's like so real because I've literally experienced that in the last 3 weeks,
Yeah,
and I see I'm still dealing with it.
I will say this.
Part of, but
So yeah, this ties directly into what you're saying. If you like, God gave you your family for a reason. Your family are the people that are going to be there for you when no one else in your life is going to be there for you. When all your friends, when you're not talking to your friends anymore, when you have no one else in your life, your family will be there for you because that's what family does. So you can't just live your life upset at your family. And I understand like every family goes through struggles, right? Like every single family out there, they all have their struggles, personal battles, things that they're going through. But I feel like having a family there, having a support system there is so meaningful, and that is exactly why they're there, because you have to have someone to fall back on, right? Obviously, if you have a good, strong walk with God, that's incredible. But God gave you your family for a reason, and in this life, they are the people that you go to, a family that loves you, which I'm lucky enough to have. And I really talk to them, and I discuss my whole life with them. I don't keep things bottled up inside because you're going to be a miserable person if you live your life keeping things bottled up inside, being angry at your family 24/7. It's not a good way to live. So yeah,
yeah,
that's just my 2 cents.
yeah,
Well,
that's
Especially when they're
that's
there for a reason.
But just like Joseph said, he had to go through a specific train of a train of event. No, whatever train of events for him to say, okay, now I'm gonna live in peace and happiness towards him. Have you had to? So, is not being angry and kindness towards your parents, regardless of them doing what you don't want, is that a choice that you have to make? Is that a choice in a struggle that you have to fight against, or does it just kind of come naturally with you in your personality, and or strength that God has given you, or just how things have always been? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have to sit there and say, I can be mad at them right now, but I'm not going to? Like, how do you look at it like that? Hello, how do you look at it like that? Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. So does it have to be a conscious choice for you to say I'm not gonna be mad at my parents, or does it sort of just come naturally, whether it's from how God made you, how you've always been? Like, do you have to say to yourself, okay, I mean about the moving.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I don't want to stay mad. I don't want to stay mad. I don't want to stay. I don't want to let. I just don't want to keep resentment bottled up inside me my whole life. um, because I've seen so many people have so many regrets if they've lost someone. They
that's
can't get over
true.
that. So I'm not going to go to bed mad, and just stay mad and constantly stay. I'm just going to get over it. Say, okay, this might suck for right now, but in the long run, this will be good. We'll have security, financial security. I know that this is temporary. This isn't going to last forever. So I might as well just suck it up while I'm doing it, while I'm here, make the best of it. And the thing is, even though something might suck at the moment, there is always two sides to the story, right? So as much as you might hate doing something at the moment, you might look back and realize that was actually kind of good for me. I really think I'm better because of that. So as much as it sucks at the moment and you don't want to do it, if you kind of have to look at it from the perspective of this isn't going to last forever, so I might as well appreciate the time that I've got, and learn from this experience, and just try and there might be a struggle at the moment, but maybe I can learn something from the struggle. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I want to look at it. And obviously, I don't look at it that way all the time, but I have to remind myself that is I feel like the right perspective and the right way to look at it is you can use this as an opportunity to just be mad about everything, or you can use this as an opportunity to really try to appreciate where you are at the moment and learn something from it.
Well, that's, jeez, man. I
That's
got Gray
wise.
like 3 months ago, bro. I was bad.
I
But
know.
like going off of that, frick. Yeah, going off of that, like like to make that choice to not be in like it. That's so like so many
Yeah,
people they
yeah.
stuck with that for so many years.
Oh yeah, no,
And
I've been angry before. I've been upset. I'm just saying I feel like that's the right mindset to have is to not be angry all the time. And I
But
know at the moment it's hard not to be angry. Like you want to be
yeah,
angry, you're upset. I feel like I've learned how to try to not be angry from being from being upset all the time, and
that's yeah.
just realizing it's not going to make you any better. Being upset, being mad about everything, it's not going to make your life any better. So why be mad, right? Why not just
yeah.
realize that this is where you are, this is where God put you at the moment, and just try and make the best of it. So yeah,
So going off of this real quick, Sean, what I'm seeing is, Sean, you and I are very similar about our current circumstances. It kind of determines where we are, like how we're feeling. We're in the now. Gray is at that point where he's looking always at the bigger picture. Always looking at the bigger picture. This is going to benefit me. This is going to help me grow. This is going to be a good learning experience. This is going to be tough right now, but it's going to be better in the future. I love how Gray has the mindset of bigger picture. Like this is furthering me. This is only temporary. When I am like in my situation, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so angry at my parents right now for X, Y, and Z because I moved from right now. The couple,
yeah,
like that thing. But yeah, you're very big picture, and a lot of people aren't like that, and they're very narrow-minded, and they only live in the now, which can be dangerous. But dude, you mastering that, it blows me away, dude.
Well,
This conversation already is going nowhere.
and the thing is it's like I feel like
I can't. Yeah, I can be very narrow-minded, but then, as I'm like even told Joseph this past week of like just a little more peace and just more beauty in my mind, and I start to I start. Gray's 100% right. Once you start to look at things from a bigger picture, it brings you so much more happiness. Okay, like it's not like, and I want to know if you see it like this, because I've told Joseph this a decent amount of times, and it might be cringy at this point, but Gray, would you say that you can't always let your circumstance define your happiness? Is that kind of what you're sort of getting at? And you have to look at, I'm not happy right now, or I'm not liking where I am right now. But people always say this, and I'm starting to learn this, but the valley and the time of your life that you don't like is where you either become a much worse person and you become resentful or that's where you grow and that's where you flourish.
definitely, yeah. And if I could just say one thing, this past year has been like the hardest year by far of this whole military thing. It has been so difficult, because I was really liking Arizona. I was loving it. I was starting to get really connected there. I had some great friendships, things that were going on. I really liked it. I liked the place we were at. Um, and it was really tough when I moved. Very, very tough. And I'm sure Joseph can relate. It's tough. I will say, even though I've hated living in this, I don't really like the apartment that we're in right now. There's a lot of things I can complain about. I don't like the fact I don't have a job. It's because we're gonna be out of here in like less than 3 months. So it's kind of I could get a job, but I'd only be working for like 3 months, which is kind of I don't really get the point of that. Probably less than that at this point. Um, Also, I don't like this at all, but I will say, having this opportunity has brought me so much closer to my dad, and I've had some great time with my dad because my dad was gone 2 out of the 3 years we were in Arizona. He went to Rhode Island to go to school for a year. That lasted an entire year, and then he went to Afghanistan. He was deployed in Afghanistan, then he went to Rhode Island. So he was literally gone 2 out of the 3. So I didn't get really any good time with my dad at all. So as much as I don't really like living here, as much as it's difficult, I'm getting some great time with my dad. So that is the good coming out of the situation that I don't like to be in. That's the good. This is good. It's brought me so much closer to my dad, and we're having some great times. We're spending a lot of great time together. We're doing some great stuff. I'm getting healthy. He's showing me all this great stuff at the gym, and it really is. What I'm trying to say is, as much as you might not like where you are at the moment, there's always something good that can come out of it, and there might be something that you don't see. So, So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to find the good. Like I don't know like what your situation is, Joseph, because I haven't really talked to you in a little bit, but I do know that you probably don't like moving very much. It's probably been difficult, but I will say there is probably some good that will come out of all this. I'm sure there's some good. I'm sure God put you in this position for a reason, and I'm sure that there will be good that will come out of this, as much as it might suck at the moment. So,
Yeah.
and then maybe it will come in the form of experiences or knowledge that you have after it's all said and done. So yeah, just kind of look at it like that, because I feel like that's kind of in my opinion, a decent perspective to have when times are tough.
Yeah, that's
there will
true.
be something good to come out of this.
That's true. Yeah, because I have a friend from Arizona when I visit. Their whole family moved from Washington State to Arizona, and he told me one night at youth group, when he moved, he resented his parents. He hated his parents. He wanted nothing to do with his parents at all. But later, he literally found his best friends for life. He fell in love with the place that he moved to and met his future wife.
Yeah, man.
Like, and just hearing that, and me like literally being in that exact circumstance, and then him telling me that, I was like, okay, like why not give it a try? You never know. And exactly what you're saying, experiences, knowledge, friends, etc. Like, there's so much, especially when you're in a new place. And yeah, literally like letting that go and letting be like, okay, opening back up and being like, okay, let's give this a try. It sure as frick hasn't been easy, but it's it relieved a lot more stress in my house, and it made things 100 times better.
Well,
yeah. So
imagine if homie named, well, I guess we'll name it Blake. Imagine if
Blake, yeah.
Imagine if homie hated his place, and all that hate wouldn't have not made him been able to love a girl enough to marry her.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
What were we gonna say, Gray?
Well, I was just gonna say that there's always good in the bad. You can always find good in something that you might not want to do, and it'll give you knowledge, and it will make you a stronger person coming out of it. And that's what I've personally been trying to learn myself, because there's so many things I don't want to do. But I realized every time I was forced to do something that I didn't want to do, as a kid or whatever, I realized that coming out of it, I felt stronger and I felt more accomplished. There's this one example where,
you're right.
just if you want an example,
Yeah.
I had to do this mock trial, and it was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was like 4 months of prep, and I didn't want to do it. I was forced to do it because my mom.
Explain what a mock trial is, if people don't know, or if Joseph doesn't know, or if I don't know.
It's basically just like it's like a fake court hearing. You just go up.
Right.
Yeah. and you just, I mean, maybe it could be about something real, but you probably wouldn't really know that. And you just go up and you play the role of a lawyer or an attorney or, a witness or something like that. And you just have to play that part and you have to make it convincing. So it requires a lot of prep. It can be really, it makes you nervous because you're getting up in front of a real judge. That's not fake. That's real. And I just remember
okay.
I did not like my mom very much at that time. I was like, dang it, Mom, why'd you make me do this? And it's funny because I'd already done one previously, and it sucked a lot. And mom was making me do another one. And this time I wasn't part of my class. I had to go into a completely new environment with completely new people.
Oh,
and I didn't know
you.
And they all knew each other.
No, thank you.
He went to Encourager's Call, by the way, Joseph. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, wow.
My tutor was like this seasoned mock trial veteran, so she was like, if you didn't have it down to a T, you were gonna hear about it from her. So
nope.
It was kind of really nerve-wracking. So I didn't know any of these people. Actually, I knew one person in the mock trial, and he was in my previous classes that I had, so I knew him. So he was doing it with me. But other than that, I didn't know anyone. So we were kind of we didn't know any of the other people. They were nice though. They weren't like mean or anything. But it was just kind of difficult going into that environment, studying with all these people for months and months and months, and not really knowing them. So I remember we went to this big building. So I did not want to do this at all. But I tried to remember, maybe something good would come out of all of this, even though it was difficult at the time. I remember that I was about to throw up, and I remember Dad was driving me there. And I was just praying that I knew all of my things that I was supposed to do, because one screw up and you could look really silly up there, presenting something.
Right.
So, like, say you didn't have something down to a T, like you would look really, really silly, and then there would be this awkward silence, and the judge would be looking at you. And
yeah, that'd be me, low key.
So I was like really, really nervous about that. So I remember I'm like, there cannot be any more pressure on me right now to do good. So I remember going out in the parking lot, and my entire team was standing out there, and our teacher just breaks down into tears, our tutor, and she goes, "This is the greatest moment," or whatever, and she started giving a speech, and she was like, "You've come so far. I know you guys are gonna do well. I know that we're gonna do this, whatever." And she literally breaks down into tears because of how, and that just put an extra level of pressure on me, because I'm like, well, I can't screw up now.
Why couldn't she have done that after you did good?
She's crying about this.
Bro, frick her, bro. Come on.
They didn't let you take your notes, so you had to make opening and closing statements, and they didn't let you take your notes up there, so you couldn't have any notes, and you couldn't have your paper that you wrote out with your opening statement. So I remember I did an opening statement, and I had to memorize the entire opening statement. Luckily, I got one of the shorter ones, but you still couldn't have any references. You had to, for whatever reason, they made you do it all without, maybe to make it look more professional, without having any kind of notes. So I was pacing up around my house the entire day, just trying to learn this one opening statement that I had. And I remember my time came and everything was kind of like on me, and I stand up to say my opening say my opening statement, and I've never felt this sensation in my life, but staring at the judge directly in the eye, everyone across the board, and all people behind me, and everyone to my right, and they were all staring at me, and I realized that my knees were shaking, and I've never experienced like my knees shaking just out of pure like nervousness, but my knees were literally like shaking, and I'm like, I've never felt this before. My knees don't shake, but at the end I did pretty good. Minimum. I actually personally didn't really have any screw-ups at all, and after that I memorized my entire opening statement. I said it all. I didn't forget anything. And I realized that as much as I hated doing that, I felt pretty accomplished at the end. I felt pretty strong. I'm sure a lot of people that do that are in college right now, they don't want to be doing it. But, it's good experiences, and it's making them stronger through all the tedious high school, studying, tests, this and that. It does make you a more experienced and a stronger person coming out of it. So yeah, that's just a little story that I had that I thought maybe could apply to what we're talking about.
That's funny.
Sean, how important is the audition file?
Important, why?
Because my whole thing glitched and it hasn't been recording any of it.
We'll figure it out later.
Cool.
Well, it's fine. I'm recording on OBS, so it'll just be less good audio, but you're good. Wait, the whole thing didn't record?
No, so I recorded half of it, and then I read the whole thing. I was like, what the frick?
Oh, yeah. Whatever. Anyhow, and then we'll close in a minute, but I just have two more questions. So I'm wondering this. So we kind of touched on this earlier, Greg, on when you felt the presence of God specifically. But you told me the other day about a specific time where you felt the presence of God when you were dealing with anxiety. So can you first? I'm wondering.
Have you ever felt yourself lean into depression and or anxiety because of the constant being uprooted from what you know? Like we've talked about the positives, 100% the positives, and looking at it from a positive perspective is what's going to keep you going through it. But reality is, have you had moments of that? One, and then two, within those moments, how have you felt God, the presence of God? And I'm going off of that because you told me a specific instance the other night where you were like in bed at night. So
Yeah. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I mean, I've never really like. I remember. I've never been depressed at all. I personally have never really experienced like depression, so I don't really want to act like I've gone through that because, I don't want to be acting like I've gone through that when there's so many people that are experiencing that. But I will say, I've had moments of anxiety, moments of just, I think everyone gets anxiety at one point in their lives. Whether you're in a spot that you don't want to be in, or you're just saying, okay, where am I going to go from here? Yeah, people get anxiety. And I was just having some anxiety, and I was having some trouble sleeping. And there was just this thought that occurred to me, and I was like, I was praying, and I was just saying, God, help me sleep, help me, get over this, because this is stupid. I don't need to be having this anxiety right now. And I've never really felt this moment up until this point where I just kind of, this thought occurred to me, like, I called you, right? And those three words, just I called you. And it was weird because I've never had anxiety just instantly disappear like it did when I was just laying in bed that night. And I really do think that was God talking to me, just saying, I called you, so why are you nervous? Why are you having anxiety? Why are you so upset right now? There's no reason to be. And I was just like, wow, that's really cool that. Because sometimes you doubt that, right? You doubt that. And I feel like that was just very reassuring. God saying, I called you. So why are you upset? I've got my hand of protection over you. So just sleep. And the anxiety just went away instantly. And it was cool because it didn't come back. Sometimes off and on, but it just disappeared at that moment. It was really cool, and I was able to go to sleep, and I was like, maybe God was talking to me at the end. So, yeah, that was one instance that I can give you there.
How about you, Joseph? You got any specific instances where
it was just a thought.
Yeah.
And I guess that God talks to you through your thoughts.
That's true.
Yeah. Not recently, I would say. But there's been times though where I think of something that I normally wouldn't, and think, it's an interesting thought. And then let's do a random example. Let's do one today. So I had an event tonight, and I had to kind of dress up for it, and I wore my just some Vans, some very nice black and white Vans, and I'm gonna go to the restaurant. I'm gonna go to Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna pack up some stuff and go. That's what I thought. I'm about to leave, and I pass by my work shoes, and something was just like, you should put those on instead of your Vans. I'm like, no, I'm chilling, I'm good. But literally, as I get to the restaurant, they're needing help in the kitchen, or it's greasy, or I could slip, or I did slip. And just something like, maybe that was just God being like, just looking out for you.
Yeah, that was funny.
Little thoughts just being like, bro, just get the freaking shoes. You'd
I
be
got you,
fine. You're
fam.
not slipping on us. And it's crazy because it's happened a couple other times where I'm just like, grab that instead. Grab that napkin. You're gonna make a spill. I'm like, I don't want to grab a napkin. I make a huge spill, and there's a spill. Like, just like
Yeah.
little things like that throughout your day that you don't think are a big deal, that sometimes are God just placing thoughts, just looking out for you. That it's not like a huge big scale of like, oh my gosh, I need to feel His presence, or something like that. It's just like little stuff like that like just helps you out throughout your day.
Well, yeah, it's funny because yeah, I'll have that same thing too, where it's almost like I hear something, like we said, that I don't want to hear, and it's like say I'll be looking at like Instagram or YouTube for too long, and be like, bro, just go do your laundry. I'm like, nah, and then 10 minutes later I'm like, why didn't I just do my laundry then? Because now I don't want to, scrub like that. But let's tell him the story real quick, Joseph, and then we can close. Should we tell him about the How do you know what I'm talking about? Shoot, bro. What were you saying, Gray? I know. Well, we're at an hour and 5 minutes, so we better close soon. Anyhow, so this goes along the supernatural realm, and maybe we could tell it again, because we should do a podcast where we low-key recap the trip, Joseph, but we'll see. Anyhow, so this is an instance where we did not feel the presence of God. We felt, and Joseph told you your side of this, but we felt, in our opinion, the presence of like evil or demon, whatever. We don't know exactly. I don't think I felt like this before, maybe once or twice, but most of the time it's good feelings if I feel it spiritually. So I had just picked up Joseph from his friend's house, and we were with my other friend. Drop him off at his house, and it's near where Joseph lives. And this was Joseph being back in Arizona. And I kind of think in my mind like, oh yeah, do we go to his house? We dropped the friend off. Joseph's house is literally 2 streets away, and Joseph is like, let's go to my house. And all right, what happens next, homie? Joseph's like, let's go to my house. Let's go to my house. I'm like, okay, so we drive to his house. What the frick happens, homie?
Alright, so we're driving back. I'm just kind of in this like weird phase of just like, oh, these streets are super familiar. This is crazy. It's like I'm like reliving everything. But dude, as we turn onto the street where my house is in view, we get closer, and all of a sudden, I start feeling an uneasiness, like right in the pit of my stomach. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't emotional. It was weird. It was weird. It was like my soul was trying to tell me something, and I was just like, "What the heck?" And we're just like, "Oh, look at the house. It's right there with some weird lights and some odd cars in the driveway. Cool. All right, yeah. Me and Sean are just okay. That's weird, yeah." And then we pull around, and then I asked Sean, "Bro, did you feel that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Yeah." And Sean literally felt the exact same uneasiness inside of him. And it was super weird because the rest of the night we were like, okay, what the frick? Like, we didn't think, my house, got demon possessed,
Haunted.
nothing like that. Yeah, haunted or anything like that. But like, it was just super weird because like it would make sense for me to feel like uneasy or feel something because it used to be my old house where I used
Exactly,
to
yeah.
live. But the fact that Sean felt it as well, and I felt it, and we were in the exact same wavelength, it was just weird. And we talked to our parents about it, our close friends about it, and literally no one could give us a straight
What did Blake
answer
say?
on. I didn't tell Blake.
No.
I should have.
Yeah.
But
You
no
guys
one
both
could
have
give us
Taco Bell that night?
Bro, shut up, bro.
Oh my god, great. Stop.
Sorry.
Yo, leave right now,
Yeah, no
bro.
one
Fix
could-
your attitude.
But like, yeah, no, nobody could give us a straight answer. No parent, anything. And the best answer we got was just, I'll pray about it. So
Yeah, and
that,
so
yeah.
what
I want to
makes
hear. I want to
it?
hear. Great. What do you think?
Well, I want to
Uh,
freaking answer the story.
no, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead. I want to hear what Sean has to say.
No, leave, bro. Fix your attitude. No, okay. So here's the thing. So I gotta make it more dramatic. All right, here's the deal. Look,
Homie Joseph was getting sad when we was pulling up, for those of you who live in Tucson, on Fry's on Silverville, by that Crossroad Parks. Homie was getting sad there. Emotional. Okay, normal, right? Okay. But, and I kind of felt bad for him. Like, shoot, he misses his place. Like, yeah, whatever, boom, okay. It's not because it was dark out, okay? When we dropped other friend off at his house, totally chill. I felt great. I felt happy. You know, Joseph was here. We're about to go on our trip the next day. Like, we felt good. Wasn't that? The streets are laid out almost the exact same. So it's like not one of those things where you could just logically explain it. Like, oh, it was dark at night and, you know, you were in your car with just you two and you were scared. No. Anyways, what do you say? We pull in. And I might have even felt it before him. But it was like, we pull in and it was like darkness was almost engulfing us. Like, it almost felt darker there. Like, I was able to explain it a little more. So it's like, it's dark as we go past this house. It almost just felt, it felt like we shouldn't be there. It felt like we were walking in, like, okay, you're playing Phasmophobia and you're outside of the house. You feel totally chill. You feel cool. It's nice. You know what I'm saying? You're playing a horror game and you're not. It's good. You go in the house and you feel this like thickness in your soul. That's exactly how it was, and it was almost like, think of like a wave of like chills or happiness, and it's like, oh, I'm so happy right now. Think of that being the exact opposite, and flipped into darkness. You shouldn't be there. A presence, and I literally wanted to get out of the neighborhood. Like, you remember, I was like, I'm out. And so it was really, really weird, because I haven't gone in his neighborhood since he's left, but I've gone pretty close to it. Why the frick wasn't I just like, dang, I feel bad for him? And then he's like, bro, do you feel that? I'm like, no, bro, but I feel bad for you. Like, no, the fact that we both, it felt the demonic in senses. It definitely didn't feel like angels, Holy Spirit type of feeling, happy type of feeling, or even sad. But it was just, it stuck with us. The feeling stuck with us the whole night. And but yeah, Greg, what do you think about it, bro? What do you think, bro?
I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know like how you
what? You just leave?
exactly how you felt. But
Yeah.
well, what I can say is, like, I've heard stories of like that before, of like people saying like, I'm not supposed to be here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And maybe that was God protecting them from somewhere they were not supposed to be at the time, and telling them, hey, you know, this is not a good area to be in, or this is not a good spot to be in. I know that I've been told stories like that before, and I've definitely heard people talk about stuff like that before. And it's pretty interesting how you get that little tingling feeling like, I gotta go. I cannot be here right now. I gotta get out of here. So yeah, I've definitely heard stories like that before. I want to say I can give a specific example, but I don't want to like misinterpret something that someone told me one time. So I'll just say that I have heard stories similar to exactly what you guys just told me before. So yeah.
Interesting, Joseph. You think it was God telling us to leave?
If
I
you
don't
both
know,
felt
man.
at the same time, that's, yeah, I mean, both feeling it at the same time. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But here, I also, Sean, the one after I was thinking about it too. I want, like, I know we said we wouldn't go back, but like,
No, homie, you're freaking me out, bro. Don't say that, God. Nope.
no, I want to go back and see
Nah.
if that feeling is still there.
No.
Because I know I'm gonna go back with my parents if we're gonna go past it in May. So I'm gonna see. And I'm
Oh,
gonna
well,
be
that's
like,
different. You're more protected.
yeah. But, yeah, anyway.
You and me,
Yeah.
homie. You and me are not going back alone at night.
No shot, bro. No way.
And real quick is, if you feel it again, homie, and your parents feel it, oh my lord, bro.
Oh my god, bro. That's not gonna be good.
But No, I don't mess around with that kind of crowd. I don't. Because I think.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, yeah. I think that's that concludes.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Thank you so much for joining us
Yeah,
for
man.
the second podcast. We've been
Yep.
going for
Sick.
an hour and almost 15 minutes. Longest one
Sure.
yet. Felt like 30 minutes. That was great, bro. You had great advice. Josie, want to go ahead and outro us out as well as Gray?
Sir, yes, sir. Yep. Gray, thanks so much for being here, man. It was a great time. We definitely need to talk more. I feel like you.
And hoping we can
You
get one of
have-
these with more people one day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And get you on again, low key. I mean, we're doing it weekly, so 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, just real quick, you have so much wisdom and maturity for someone your age, especially with all the freaking stuff that you've gone through, and huge respects.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not gonna act like I'm in any kind of. Oh, go ahead.
You're basically
No, yeah,
perfect,
just-
Gray.
that's
I'm not
No,
gonna
I'm-
act like I'm in any position to give anyone like insane advice, but I'm just kind of, just talking about like what I've experienced in my life and how I think it might,
Yeah.
just really just talking and just kind of giving.
Can help other people, homie. You know what I mean?
opinion on what has helped me get through stuff. So that's just really the points I was trying to make and where I was coming from. So I know everyone's
Yeah.
experiences are different. Everyone has different life experiences, different ways they've grown up. But this is just how I get through things and what helps me personally. So
Yeah.
Yeah, straight up. That's so good. Yeah, man.
Get
we
on.
appreciate that. We appreciate your opinion and stuff. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Made it to the end. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, that's
1
it.
week.
We'll see you next week. One more week. Peace out.